Hi everyone, I am back with the second part of our planner page. I'm just having a little look at what we've got going on. I have had to shut the blind because the sun is going to come across the page by the time I finish making the video. So hopefully it doesn't look too different, but anyway, we'll just carry on anyway. I'm thinking about the background, the stars and that sort of thing, and the lid of course as well. I think I'm going to do the background part inside our pot first. I'm looking at the pinks that I've got. I'm thinking I want a pink. I'm just scratching my head, I'm sorry. And we've got this Flamingo Pink and I think that's going to work. My plan is to make it quite light around our bug and then darker around the edge, as if he's sort of emitting some pink light, he or she. I'm just rubbing off, we've got a bit of purple around here. Just gonna try and erase that a bit because I want it to be a bit lighter around the bug, but these are a little bit smudgy. So there we go. So I'm going to start with the Flamingo Pink and I'm just going to put a really light layer across the whole of this inside of the bottle. And then sort of see where we're at really. It's quite a big space. Colouring in a big space can be quite difficult and daunting. Try not to let it worry you. Hold the pencil on its side and just press gently, and that should help you get a more even coverage. If you're doing a sky, for example, you might want your lines going in a particular direction. If it's raining, that way is good. If there's a sunset, that way is good. In this jar, we don't really have a direction, which is making it a bit hard for me. I'm not really sure how to do. You can do sort of cross-hatching or whatever. I think I'm just going to do this way and go with it. Now our stars and things, I don't want this colour, so I'm going to try and colour around them. I think I'm going to make them dark to make it a bit easier on myself, and then if I colour over them it won't matter so much. I think that's the best way. If you're using a blunter pencil it's a bit easier in some ways. Trying to get around small details is quite difficult, but getting an evener background is easier. Certain pencils aren't so good for backgroundy type work. I wouldn't use a Staedtler of any type. Prismas are very good. Polys are okay, but they're still quite hard. I wouldn't use Tombows. But you know, so it depends what you're doing really as well. I mean, if your background is a drawing of something intricate, then obviously a harder pencil might work, but if you're trying to do something like this and you want something soft. Now just get this first bit done and we can work with it. Now I've got a little butterfly there. That's our butterfly, isn't it, from our story? How did it get inside the jar? Or is it outside the jar? It's much more likely to be outside the jar, isn't it? Right, so there is the start. Now I'm going to make it darker on the edges right away and start to build up that colour. Now you might notice I'm colouring over the bits I've coloured already, the framey bit, because it's just so much easier to do that. If the colours were completely different, I wouldn't be doing that, but they're so close I think I can carry it off. Now I don't want this too dark because I want to be able to see these dots that I've drawn in. But I want it to be dark enough so that we can see that it fades towards the centre. come way out the lines there. Never mind. That's what happens. To me anyway. I see some people and they have such sharp pencils, they work at such small details so slowly. I'm afraid I just don't have the patience for that. It wouldn't feel relaxing if I was colouring like that. So if you want to colour like that and you like it, that's fine, but you're not going to get that from me, I'm afraid. Right, I'm just starting to bring this in a bit. So hopefully it looks a bit darker around here, a bit lighter. Oh, she goes out the lines again. You can just keep building up the layers a bit until you can really see a bit of contrast. So my husband's getting really excited. Our local wetlands centre has a Quentin Blake event coming up. He has done some pictures for them, and their trail, it's like a kid's trail, has illustrations in the leaflet by him, and then they've got merch, which is very exciting. He loves Quentin Blake's style. I'm not so keen, to be honest. I mean, you know, we're all different. It's not my thing really, but the mugs actually were rather attractive, ducks and things like that, because it's a wetlands, so it's got lots of ducks. So that's fun. I'm looking forward to going and doing the trail and looking at all the things, but we've got to wait till the exams are over, probably. Actually, he's got a few days off to pick one of my boys up from an exam. So I'm just putting a bit more down there because it's a bit heavy there. In fact, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to get my eraser, just rub away a little bit there where I think it needs to be a bit lighter. Now let's so I'm hoping it looks like there's a bit more of a glow around our bug than around the edge. That was what I was going for. I'm just going to neaten this up. I've gone out of the lines and over here. There we go. Excuse me. Right, let's finish off our jar. I'm thinking a slightly paler purpley colour might work. I'm thinking this one looks like it's going to do the job. This is the Lilac. It's a sort of in between pink and purple, I think, and I'm thinking it'll work. So for the base, I'm going to make it dark on the edge and then lighten it as I go towards the middle. Not sure how well this matches that pink, but never mind. A bit lighter there, so darker here. And a bit lighter as we go in, like that. And do the same with the lid. I'm gonna come this way, I think. It'll be a bit easier for my hand. So darker here. This is really the neck of the bottle, isn't it? But I sort of colouring it as if it's part of the lid. Like that. And then lighter to the middle. And the same on this part too. So just starting to fade now, not quite so many layers. Goodness, it's so sunny. I'm going out later. I hope I don't burn. I might get my hat. It's I'm not a fan of sunny weather, but we'll see. I don't mind winter sunshine and cool spring sunshine and autumn sunshine, but summer, no, it gets too hot. Now for this top bit I'm going to do it a slightly darker, more obviously purpley colour. I'm going to use the Purple Iris. I just think I'll finish it off nicely. Now I still can't decide what colour to do that butterfly. I'm trying to work out whether it's the part of the book where the butterfly is sooty from the dragons or not. I can't really remember. I'm going to do this quite dark here, layering up, and then lighter towards the middle. Try and make it look a bit rounded. I don't know if that worked. Maybe it's a bit too light still, isn't it? There we go. There. Okay, now I'm going to do this little butterfly and then I'm going to do the background, and I'm going to come back and do the stars after, because I'm going to do them in pen and I want to do the background first. Let's do the little butterfly though. I'm going to just start with the grey. Let's use the charcoal grey, really dark, for the body. So small. I'm wondering whether, yeah, I'm going to do the whole thing grey. I don't know if it's that part of the book or not, but it is now. There we go. Okay, now the background part, I'm just going to put a few pencils away that I left out from the earlier bit of the video, hence the clattering. The next part is the background and the wall, so I'm going to just move my pencils away. And I was trying to think, I had originally thought I would do it as a sort of red brick colour, but that's not going to match the pinks and purples very well. But if I do it grey, then it's going to disappear. This silvery bit that I try to make silvery is just going to disappear. So, I'm having a think. Just going to open the pastels, have a look at what's here, and have a think. I'm just going to put a piece of paper under the page to stop the pastel getting all down the side of the book. Let's come out a tad so you can see. There we go. Right, maybe I will do it brick colour. It'll stand out, I think, better that way. So I will, and I want it to be lighter around the jar. We want to still give that idea that it's emitting light. So I'm going to start with this colour here, which is a sort of reddy orange. Look. That's quite red, isn't it? But just slightly. Now hold the page with the on the bit that you're not going to be applying any pastel to. You can see why I put the paper. It is quite a bricky colour, I think. But maybe in the caves they wouldn't be red bricks, but it is now. And try not to put any inside the jar, but it's quite tricky when you're trying to control it with just a sponge. There are more accurate tools you could use, like a Q-tip, or some people use their finger. I'm too messy for that. I would just get it all over the wall, carpet, myself, face. Can you imagine? Now here we're supposed to have a bit of shine showing through, and I'm going to be going over that with this. So all the shiny areas are now going to look orange. I will show you how to deal with that in a bit. It's not very even either, but that's okay. Once I've got enough of a base colour down, I will put more down, do more blending and things like that, and hopefully the idea isn't for it to be even, but for it to make sense, should we say. Okay, that's my start. I'm going to get my eraser. I'm going to erase it off here. I'm going to lean on this so that I don't get pastel over my hand. Probably will anyway, because I'm a messy type. Now, some people like to do the pastel first and then erase it and then do their pencil after. You can do it that way, but I find that the erasing is quite tedious and I make a mess, but it's up to you. You can use masking fluid, but I've tried that on a picture and I'm not very good at painting, so I wasn't very accurate at putting on my masking fluid, so it sort of defeated the object really. So this is just my best solution. It's not perfect, but I think that'll do. Now we're going to go for a darker colour now to add. This bit at the bottom we're not going to do any more pastel, but we will be adding pastel to other areas. So we've got this sort of orange which we've used so far. We're going to try and go darker. I'm going to do the colour next to it and see. It's very red. I'm going to try that red again. I'm going to use this centre bit for my hands. That's a bit pinkish almost. But I'm going to use a bit of that. But I really want to go more brown, so I think I might not do much of this one. But once you've done a bit, you need to do a bit more to even it out, and you can then always go over it. But you have to remember that if you've done it in one bit and you go over it there, it will look different to the rest if you don't put a bit elsewhere. So there's a bit of that. I'm not very keen on that. So I'm going to try and find a brownish colour. I'm thinking this brown up here might work. Here. Yeah, that's better. Much better. That's much better. I'm going to use a lot of that. Cover over all that red. Blend it into the orange. Down here we've got a bit of a situation going on which I'm going to show you in a minute. Basically there's a dirty grey greasy fingerprint and it isn't blending into the pastel very well. It sort of resists the pastel, so it looks a bit nasty. So we're going to deal with that. Now it's very simple. You basically erase it and then do it again. And it should work. Just get this bit down first. So yes, here, I don't know if you can see, it looks a bit extra dark. So I'm going to completely erase it. Then get my brush, get rid of those pencil sharpenings, and then get my pastel cloth, put it back on. It looks much better. Now I'm going to get some really dark brown, that one I think. Look at that, wow, that's very dark. For our corners, remember in a gloomy cave and we really want to make it look like this is shining, so we need some really dark contrasty bits. I'm rather liking that dark. It's quite difficult near the spiral. I shall keep persevering. Now this colour doesn't really go with the purple, it's not a natural pairing, but I think it helps that to stand out. Right, I just want a bit of bright around our pot, so I've got a clean piece, and I'm going to use this colour here. It's a sort of orangey yellow, really bright. And I'm just going to use it a little bit around here so it looks, you know, like there's light emitting from it. I don't need to use it underneath because the light would just be coming out the side. It's looking a bit messy, but we'll get there. We'll do a bit on the other side and then we'll get blending like this. My desk wobbling as I blend. It takes quite a lot of physical effort. And it's sort of warmed it up a bit. I'm going to do a little bit at the top as well, just because I think it looks pretty. But I'm not going to do any underneath because we've done all our erasing. That's going to be too difficult. Now our centre bit with all our stars and things I'm going to do in some glitter pen, but I've got to go and get them, so hold on a second. I've also grabbed a piece of paper just to lean on while I apply the glitter pen because I don't want to get this pastel all over me. These are my Sakura Stardust Jelly Roll glitter pens. You can use any pen, any glitter pen, but I want to do these stars. I'm thinking we've got a pink, purpley pink and a violet, or a silver, and I'm thinking maybe the silver might be the best, because I think the others I might not be able to match them in. I think we've got quite a good balance of pink and purple, so I'm going to use this silver. For your reference, it's number 744, but obviously you can use any silver pen. You could use a metallic one if you're not keen on glitter. I did have this idea, which I've now completely abandoned, to put a glitter pen over the whole jar to make the whole jar look shiny. Could do that. The glitter glaze pen, you know, the one that's see-through, so you could still see, but no, I'm not going to do that. I think it's going to be too tricky. Another thought is, are we going to make the jar look shiny? You can do that by adding a white pen. I don't think I am, because the actual jar, the background on our jar isn't very dark. So I think if I put some white pen on here, it's not really going to show up very much. So I decided that it's probably better not to do that. If I'd done a much darker background, I think it would have worked, but with this sort of light pinky colour, whatever it was, Flamingo Pink, I think, it's not going to work. Now, I've chosen the silver, and that means that it's quite a dark colour in the background, which means that where I've gone over the lines in places, it doesn't matter because it's covering it over, which was coincidence but good. Okay, now I am going to add a little bit of white pen on the gemstones though. So here's my Sakura 10. I have to try and reach without getting glittery, just add a line. I've got to avoid glitter and pastel here. Now you can use, I often get asked about fixatives. There are various pastel fixatives that obviously you might want to use, but I haven't found one that doesn't smell really offensive. Even the one that I bought that says it doesn't smell, it does. Maybe I'm just extra sensitive to smell, I don't know, but I'm not a fan for that sole reason. They do set the pastel. Another way to set pastel, if you don't want to use a fixative, is blending solution. You go over the top of it with some blending solution, it will set it. And it won't smell, well, it depends what your blending solution you use. Just put my piece of paper on top of my white pen. There we go. But yeah, so that's an alternative which can be better. But I just leave it. There's a risk, you know, if I did black pastel, it would, you know, it's going to go onto the page, and then you can erase it and then colour your picture, and it's going to go back onto the page again. I'm going to fill in these, where am I? See these gaps here I left white. I'm wondering whether to put white pen on them, but I think they might just show up too much. So I think I'll leave them looking very slightly brick-like. So I'm going to take that away so you can see the finished page. I'm going to leave it like that. So there we go. So hopefully we look like we're glowing, lighting up the wall. I really like the warm wall colour. I'm not at all keen on the pink and purple at all. I'm not really that fond of those colours. Why I chose them is beyond me. It would probably have been better to have done it in oranges and yellows or greens. But anyway, it's done now. So there it is. If you want something to match this better, then grey, as I said, but then you'd lose this. So, you know, I really like the warm wall colour. So there we go. But, oh, another thing you could do, if you want to make this look more glassy, is to go around the black line around the edge in a white pen. But I don't think it's really going to make a massive amount of difference, so I think it looks quite glowy and glassy anyway, so I'm going to leave it. But there we go. So that is that. Yeah, it's different, isn't it? I'm not in love with it. I'm sure you can tell. I like the background. I like the pot. They don't go together, is my opinion. But you know, why would they go together? Is what my brain's telling me. It's against a brick wall in a cave. Why would the pot match? That's why I did it differently, but now I'm wondering if that was such a sensible idea. But there we go. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a super day and happy colouring.